doorbell at Jimmy's house. Now, when you come to my house, my doorbell sounds like this.
Hey, welcome to the People's Weekly. I'm Tim Best Buds. We have a new host today. Tracy, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Well, everyone calls me the teacher. My name is Tracy Bates. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. Former criminal justice and criminal law instructor.
Okay, and on Twitter, you're Tracy for Humanity.
Among other usernames. That's the one under my real name, yes.
Okay. So yeah, go ahead and give her a follow. It's a really good account. You've done Nolan's show before, right?
Yes, I've done it 3 or 4 times maybe.
Yeah, I was producing some of those a while back. So yeah, you're a guest turned co-host today. Thanks for coming on. So yeah, as far as announcements for today, we just released 3 music to riot to. We called them music to toke to on April 20th, and they're just you guys should check them out. They're just like stoner mixes. One's reggae, one's East Coast rap, and one's West Coast rap. And there's a new music to riot to, back to the political music, coming next week as well. The View Up Here won't be back until the 8th. Glenn is on a mini hiatus between seasons. So May 8th, The View Up Here will be back, I think, if that's a Wednesday, and at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I encourage everybody to check that out if you haven't heard The View Up Here. Canadian Glenn's awesome. So yeah, anything you want to, anything you need to promote or get out in the announcement time, Tracy?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
I was just checking before we start on the topics. So yeah, so today's topics, the first one we're going to go over is a leader of a white supremacist organization whose name was Larry Mitchell Hopkins was arrested by another white supremacist terror organization better known as the FBI. He was arrested for kidnapping and terrorizing. You know what? He wasn't arrested for kidnapping and terrorizing people. I read into this further, so I wrote this yesterday before I really read into it. But what happened was he was arrested for some stuff he had did like a year ago, last year, that was pretty much unrelated. So what these guys have done is they've been going to the border, impersonating Border Patrol agents, holding guns to people, kidnapping people, and yeah, he's in jail. He got his ass beat, his ribs broken. But this isn't, I don't know if you know, Tracy, this isn't like anything new. A lot of people are like shocked, like these guys are on the border, these Nazis are on the border with guns and they're taking people hostage and all this and that. But this started way back in the Bush, you know, when little George W. Bush was with a group called the Minutemen. They would go to the border to make sure that no, quote unquote, Al-Qaeda at the time were coming through disguised as Mexicans. That's what they said. Just utter racist bullshit. And then they evolved into the Tea Party, who did the same thing. A lot of you that listen know I used to go and fight with the NSM, the National Socialist Nazis, in Riverside a lot, and they were famous for going out to the border with guns, and they used to have pictures on their social media pages and all that with that. Different KKK groups. So now they've all kind of united under this Maga banner, but they're the same old groups doing the same old bullshit. This isn't anything really new. It's just now they call themselves MAGAs instead of Tea Party, KKK, NSM, Minutemen or whatever. So yeah, that's our first topic. We're going to kind of talk about that.
Well, one of the first things that I noticed about that was his initial charges did not include false imprisonment of any kind like that. Kidnapping, false imprisonment, none of that. He was arrested for being a felon in possession of firearms. Now, one of the observations that I made was that Border Patrol knew what they were doing. They knew where they were. They were in communication with the Minutemen. Why didn't they go and check these groups out at their base camps to ensure that none of them were felons carrying firearms? Now, that's how they police Black people. If Black people got together in any type of significant number and the feds knew they were armed, that's the first thing they would do. Why did they not do that with these groups? That's the first question.
Well, because they're white supremacists.
Exactly.
We're going to get into that in a few minutes. Our second topic is about white supremacists infiltrating law enforcement and military. But traditionally, I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I've been out there in the South fighting with the Klan. I've been out here fighting with Nazis. These people, every time they show up, there can be 10 of them and 3,000 of us, or 5 of us and 100 of them. The police will always have their backs to them, facing us. It never fails.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that before. The cops will shake their hands, they'll chill with them, they'll talk to them. They don't see them as a threat behind them, even when they have weapons like down south and all that. I mean, these people were giving threats that they were going to start lynching people and killing people and all this. The police didn't care. They was more concerned with the Black people over there protesting than what the Klan was going to do to them, and these threats that were coming out. People were in terror. I mean, I live in California. I've never seen a whole group of Black people in terror like that before. Like, that's some real shit out there. Out here, you'd be like, Klan, what is there, 10 of them? Let's kick their asses. Out there, it's like their territory. It's a whole nother world. It was scary. But the police...
I'm not really a scary kind of person. So white people congregating in groups to do whatever it is they think they're going to do and talk whatever talk they want to talk, that kind of thing doesn't really scare me because I'm just not a scary person. Put up or shut up. I carry. I know how to use it. I'm required to be post-certified to maintain my license. That kind of thing doesn't intimidate me. But I find it I think it's really ridiculous for the FBI to publish a document. It came out several years ago about white supremacists, quote unquote, infiltrating the military and infiltrating law enforcement. They've been in both.
It's like saying white supremacists
of this country. Mm-hmm.
It's like saying white supremacists are infiltrating white supremacist organizations. I know
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. They're like they've discovered something and, oh my gosh, we're going to address it. Bitch, no, you did not.
Yeah, I thought that too. But I, in a way, I think the report is important for some people who don't want to believe that, and they'll only believe it if the FBI says it. Usually white people and more conservative kind of people, they're like, no, that's impossible. How would they, infiltrate? How could this happen? And these people themselves are white supremacists who just don't want to believe it, a lot of them. Your standard Trump voter, that's a white supremacist. I don't really care what color you are, you're supporting white supremacy with a lot of these things. But these groups, they were taken off the terror watch list not that long ago. They're never called terrorists, no matter what they do. They can walk into churches with guns and shoot people, mosques with guns and shoot people. No matter what they do, they're not called terrorists. I mean, we got groups like Adam Waffen who are self-avowed terrorists, and they still, they don't call them terrorists. This Coast Guard guy they just arrested, they didn't charge him with terrorism. And in the court case, he was saying this is the rhetoric of the United States now, so what's the problem? He was caught with weapons planning. He had a whole hit list, a whole kill list. You heard about him, right?
I did, and yeah. I did hear they were
talked about him a couple weeks ago.
Right?
Yeah, I didn't know if you were up on that. Is he out now, or is he getting out, or what's it?
the most recent news that I read was that he would be eligible for release.
Okay, that's what I had heard, but that
Know
was
that he's
that was
out.
like a week ago.
Now, I haven't heard anything that said he has actually gotten out yet.
Yeah, now imagine if that was a black cat or a Mexican cat or something or an Arab cat. They ain't getting out. They're gonna charge him with some terrorism, and they're gonna be talking about him, and the president's gonna be tweeting about how horrible it is, and this has to be stopped. But then it's
I
such a
just read
double
that a man in
standard.
Mississippi, yes, it is. I just read a man in Mississippi is doing 8 years for weed. Just got handed down that sentence. But this man, who is an obvious threat to people, has been deemed okay to release.
Yeah, that's another
It makes
thing.
no sense. Mm-hmm.
We were gonna have a show last week, but we had some last minute emergencies, so we had to cancel it. And that was kind of what we were going to talk about because it was April 20th. We were going to talk about is the legalization of weed a blessing or a curse, being that there's so many people still locked up for it, mostly people of color, doing a lot of time for things that's totally legal now for a whole lot of people, mostly corporate upper class kind of white people running the weed industry now. We're going to talk about all that. It's really insane. There's a double standard that's been in this country since its inception. It was just it was just more brutal double standard, and they're trying to get the brutality back. I think they missed that. That's what making America great again means, I think, is making it brutal and back to Jim Crow and lynchings and land grabs and all kinds of stuff, you know?
Mm-hmm.
These people miss those days, and it's disgusting. But
It is disgusting.
I'm sorry, what?
I said it is disgusting.
Oh, it is. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. But yeah, you got these groups on the border. This guy's just making the news. Back to the border thing. They've been doing this for, what we just say, over 16 years, and probably before we even knew about it, they were probably doing it. So,
Now,
being that,
formally, the Minutemen started in 2005. And one of the co-founders, did you hear that he was just sentenced to 19 and a half years in prison for raping children, including a 5-year-old girl that was a friend of his daughter?
yeah, I heard that a while back.
Ah,
Yeah, a lot of these,
sicko.
you know, you'd be surprised how many of these white supremacists are really twisted people like that. Abusive, domestic abuse, child rape, rapists. I mean, look at their heroes, like the base stick guy. All these people, they have home invasion robberies. They have all this stuff, and they're talking about these black thugs on the street need to be stopped and these crime waves. You know, these people are arch criminals. Like, and these are the right wing heroes, the white supremacist heroes. It's just, it's insane, and they have the
White
audacity.
supremacy.
I'm sorry, what?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was saying white supremacy will tolerate anything to maintain white supremacy. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as it keeps people coded as white on top and everyone else below. Tolerates anything for that.
Yeah, that's true. But it's just like they have the audacity to call other groups of people, like they say, oh, black people are criminals by nature, or Mexican people are criminals by nature, Latino. But no, look at your crime records. I mean, I haven't seen any groups of black people or Hispanic, Latino people going and just devastating a whole continent and taking it over. You know, I haven't seen this. It's just, yeah, these people, they're horrible people, and they're exactly what, you know, when I was in school years ago, they didn't really tell us shit about World War II. That was factual, you know, but they'd always say Hitler was everything he hated. He was such a hypocrite. And that's how these people are. That it started making sense more recently. Everything these people claim to hate is what they are. They're criminals. They're scum. They're rapists. They're horrible people. They're just like, especially these Nazis. They're just another gang. They're just a vicious white gang. That's the only difference. And I can't imagine the Klan would be any different. They would just be like older, right? I mean,
Well, now with the resurgence of these groups, you're going to see a lot more younger members because they're recruiting in high schools and college campuses now. But they're going through other established conservative organizations to do it.
oh yeah, they're working with a lot of Republican groups. One white supremacist got arrested for something. I don't really remember the story. There's so many things going on with this. And he was some big campaign guy for these Republicans in the South. And as a matter of fact, there's a Nazi I got into it out here. And I didn't know who he was at the time, but then I seen him on Twitter one day. And he's some big Republican dude out here. I mean, all his pictures are getting on these jet airplanes with Republicans and this and that and MAGA, 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 MAGA. And he's there with the Trump flag at a Nazi rally with weapons. He was the little motherfucker that threatened to tase me. I had that on video, and the police didn't care. Like, we have weapons, we get in trouble, we get arrested, all kinds of issues. We can get gassed. They got weapons. The police are like, oh, we'll just walk over there and we'll protect you. You don't even really got to take them to the car. We'll just tell you to do it, but we don't care if you do. It's, and that's in L.A. You would think we'd have a little more love out here. It's supposed to be the quote-unquote liberal wonderland, but liberals ain't shit either, really, in my opinion.
A lot of white liberals are white supremacists too, no matter how much they try to deny it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a different level of it. It's more hidden, I think, in some ways with them. They're not blatant. They're not going to run down the street screaming the N-word at some black people. But at the same time, they might call the police because they feel uncomfortable that somebody's living their life, you know. Mm-hmm. We've seen that a few times. So what can, in your opinion, what can we as the people do? Like, we're not the government. We don't really have any say. Our votes don't matter. What can we the people do as far as this border thing? Because the way it's going right now, people probably have been killed, and there's no way to document this.
There actually have been. And no, those people have not been caught. I read stories about 4 people, and then I read a woman in one of the Minutemen groups committed a robbery and killed a 9-year-old girl and her father in their house. So there have been people who have been killed already.
That was a while back. I remember that.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of, yes. Yeah. In terms of what can be done, I tell people all the time, this is exactly how law enforcement is designed to work. They're doing exactly what they're quote unquote supposed to do. It has been designed around keeping black and brown people or non-white people out and not getting access, even legal access to the government. Claiming asylum is legal. You can present yourself at a port of entry to claim asylum. There are places within the United States that you can also claim asylum. It's not illegal to do. These militia groups are trying to stop them from doing something that's perfectly legal. Now, in terms of the quote-unquote illegal border crossings, aside from the fact that that's not their job to do, the law enforcement entity, Border Patrol, that is responsible for that is still an extension of white supremacy. They're going to operate the way that they're supposed to operate. Keep them out. It's not an us, it's us versus them. They don't belong. On their own land, I might add. The places that are being patrolled by both of these groups, we took from Mexico.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ours to begin with. That's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
So what can you do about something that's working the way it's designed to operate, but tear it down and make sure it doesn't operate that way anymore? But who wants to do that?
I do.
I do. But in terms of how do you sell that to a government? The government's running the way that it's supposed to run. And in order to keep the United States in white European Christian hands, it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. So there is, in my opinion, nothing that can be done about that. It has to all be torn down because there is no reform. You cannot reform something that is working the way that it's supposed to work.
Well, nothing can be done within the system, but I don't believe in working within the system because it doesn't, the system is going to be the system. But it's like,
now, unless you want to see thousands of anti-fascists arm themselves and go down to the border to make sure that the people who are crossing can cross safely.
That's what I was thinking.
That's the only other alternative that I can see. These Minutemen thrive because they know they're powerless. They have no power, and this is a means of them feeling like they have power. And it's really odd because a lot of them call themselves anti-government, but they're willing to work with Border Patrol. It all comes back to xenophobia. They don't want brown people in this country. But if they're down there and they are armed, and the numbers that I've read are anywhere from at most 900 to 1,200 across the entire southern border, which is, of course, hundreds of miles long. Unless we're talking about large numbers of active anti-fascist and black bloc protesters, or anyone really, average Joe Blow who has no political philosophy, want to go down to the border and run those bastards off, they're going to keep doing it. And we're seeing a resurgence now of groups like that. So from 2005 to about 2009 or 10, they were pretty active. They had a lot of infighting between the groups. They broke off and formed different groups. They sued each other because you're not running this, I'm running this. There was a lawsuit. They got their funding cut off, but now they're starting to regroup. So if anyone was going to do something, now would be the time.
Yeah, here in LA, I mean, that's what I know because I'm here. It's like we had a show a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you know who Nipsey Hussle was.
Yes, I do.
But he was really important, I think, because for years I've been saying these gangsters out here are just, like, we have a lot of gangsters in LA, and they're just kind of blind, a lot of them. And somebody like him was trying to unite them. And then you have an army if you can get these cats united, you know? It's like I talk to these cats almost daily. They're my friends and family and everything else, but it's just they're so into what they're doing, this capitalism thing, and trying to survive, and the struggle's real for them. But y'all weren't created for that. You were created to defend the people, and then you were infiltrated and turn into what you are now. And it's like we have these armies out here with high power weaponry. I mean, you'd be surprised some of the stuff they have out here. It's like if we could just get these cats together along with the anti-fascists, and we got some out here. I mean, every time I'm in a protest, I see homies out there that I know from different neighborhoods and stuff, but it's not a lot of them. You know, there's not a lot of them. And
there's more of us than them. There are way more of us than these militia groups at the border.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, just the gangs in LA outnumber the militia groups. And these are good people. I know people hear me say gang, this and that. Not every, you know how you say there's some good, not you, but the people, you know, they say there's some good cops, and I say, no, there's not. Well, You know, maybe not every cop has killed anybody, but most gangsters are just trying to survive, you know. And if you want to end that problem, legalize drugs and watch how fast half of these wars die down. But they don't want to do that. They want to keep it going. But we have an army here, and if we could just unite them instead of letting them keep dividing themselves up for bullshit, stupid reasons, and it's a lot easier said than done. That's what we need. We need these cats to join the fight, because then we have the firepower, we have the manpower, we have the experience, and we got the heart. I mean, these cats, they got heart. You know
that's true. They do have heart,
and you know they love their communities. I've seen so many gangsters do so much good stuff for their community. Small time cats, not like Nipsey or whatever. I mean, just cats is just hustling, help people out, help their neighbors out if they need something. I've seen it my whole life. And, you know, y'all listening can look up the history of where different gangs came from. But they started as revolutionaries, most of them, and got sidetracked and intentionally, purposefully derailed by the government and by different groups within. Read about COINTELPRO and all that stuff. And you'll see how they got from where they were to what they are now. We need to get them back toward where they were. That's my solution to this. It's just, you know, it's real hard. Cats want to make money. Cats want to hustle. Cats want to do what they're doing because that's what they know. That's the system they're in. So they're trying to work with that. Somehow we got to wake them up. And I mean, it took a lot to wake me up. I've been shot 14. I got 14 bullet holes from nine shots. Been in jail, all that, you know. Then you start to wake up, but some cats, even that doesn't wake them up. So I don't know, but I know that's our army. That's the people's army right there, just waiting to be united. And until someone can find a way to do that, we don't have that, and we need that.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is we need to come up with, whether it's a systematic way or organization or small group of people, to lay out a framework and plan for bringing the groups together. First and foremost, bringing the groups together. And once a camaraderie has been established, present to them ways that their talents can be used for the betterment of all of marginalized people, particularly in their area.
Yeah, in a way. In a way, it's just I what you said about talent is true. You don't know the talent that's in. I mean, maybe you do, but a lot of people don't know the talent that's in these neighborhoods. I'm talking about geniuses. I'm talking about artists. I'm talking about musicians. I'm talking about just warriors. Everything, anything you see in society, you say is great and needed. They have it there. They have it there. They have compassion. They have hearts. They have all that. Oh, Olive's going crazy because the mailman's here. But the thing I don't want is, I know a lot of times they've had these truces in the past, and it's all for the media and it's all for some politician to say they're doing something, and it's not really real and it don't last. I'm not a real fan of the truces as much as another way of thinking. Like, if we killing each other, we killing ourselves. Let's turn around and kill the enemy. You know, that's the mentality, I think. Let's war with the enemy instead of each other. And if we got problems later, we'll deal with it, whatever. But this is what's foremost right now, is saving the people. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know.
No, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Now, I know Nolan probably told you, I'm 48. I'm not a spring chicken, but I'm also not Miss Tight Ass either. My father was a drug dealer on a different coast, obviously. And he wasn't a corner boy either. I don't know. It makes me very sad to think about how many lives my father has taken. Because I don't know. I mean, he's been shot by his best friend and partner. So, although I'm an academic, this is not an over there problem for me. When people hear post-certified, they think cop fed. No, this is what I need to maintain my license so I can teach at the 99% black high school down the road from me, which is one of the places that I taught for several years. But it's I'm not removed from it, is what I'm trying to say. Although where I live is completely different than LA, a lot of those same issues are here in Nashville. Nashville is not lily white. We're very diverse. There are a lot of black and Latino people here. We're not all country music.
No, when I say you, sometimes I'm talking to the people that are listening too, because we have listeners. So yeah, don't think I'm directing everything.
So that your listeners, no, I don't feel that way. But your listeners need to know who I am as well.
You definitely,
And I'm not coming from a place of my nose is in a book.
That's not a bad place either. You can do both. I mean, I know revolutionaries that started off as gangsters, and they're those reading a lot of books and they're reading all the time and they're learning. I need to do that more myself. But if it wasn't for revolutionaries and me trying to hide out years ago, because I was kind of wanted for a lot of stuff, I would have never went and met these Panthers up in the Bay. I would have never went to this reservation and met these people that just kind of was like real with me, explaining how stuff was supposed to be, Like I've never heard stuff like that before. I've never heard revolutionary cats talking about gangbanging, how it really is. I've never seen people living in a whole community like on a reservation. As messed up as it is, it's a community that is different than what I'm used to.
Right.
Like I remember when I was on the reservation, we were literally hiding out with a church group that went to these reservations. Because people wanted to kill us back then. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, we were over there, and then the next thing we know, we seen all these what we thought were essays at the time coming in with red rags. We're like, oh man, now we got to fight with these Mexican cats. And they were so awesome. That was their tribal colors. We learned so much over there, just talking to these cats and seeing how it was for them, and then they're just like us. They got protection too. They got, they got big heat, some of them, to protect their stuff. It's a small world and people are the same all over. Like, people need to realize that we got different cultures. We might look different or whatever, but we all the same. We all do the same things in different ways. And we got to unite. We got to shut down these fascist bastards. Like, the sooner the better. When I'm saying fascists, I'm talking about not just these cats at the border, not just these Nazis at the rallies, not just the MAGA people. It's the police, it's the military, it's the sheriffs, it's the state police, it's the feds. These people are all oppressors, and they're all fascists. And sorry if you don't agree, but people here know me. I'm a little way out. No, I'm saying as far as both parties, the Democrats and Republicans, got to go because they're full of fascists. And if you don't agree with that, that's fine. But that's how I don't like them parties,
No, I'm not a Democrat. That's okay. I'm the far left of the far left. Okay. Yeah. I'm not a Dem. I'm not any party at all. I hate politics. I hate politicians. And the liberal white people, and there are some liberals that aren't white, need to wrap their brain around the fact that Democrats are full of white supremacists too. That party is. And although they may not express it the same, the policies they generate do.
Definitely. Yeah, I mean, I've been to these Nazi rallies and got into it with this Mexican cat telling me, why is everyone so afraid to be white? These, you should listen to the Nazis and have some good things to say that make sense. I've seen black cats out there with these cats, just standing for them, like, oh, they're on our side and they're so great. You don't know what you're talking about. I mean, Candace Owens is a perfect example. There's a famous one that do that. Like, how do you stand for your enemy? How do you stand for the person that hates you?
Money, attention.
Yeah, but when it's all said and done, how are you going to get? You're not going to get treated with no love. If their plan works, your usefulness is over.
I agree. But then she'll have the money to be able to leave and go wherever she wants to so that it doesn't affect her.
That's some sellout shit I can't comprehend.
It is.
Yeah, I see
Attention
it.
and money. She's getting exactly what she wants.
Yeah, then you see some of these left wing cats be like, oh, they're black or Latino, we can't mess with. What are you talking about? They're fascists. Knock them the hell out. Who cares? Fascists are fascists.
Exactly.
It blows my mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I live down here in the South, so not that I'm trying to regulate the most extreme forms of white supremacy to the South because it's everywhere, but it's more expected, I guess is the phrase I'm looking for the racists to be here. And of course, growing up, like I said, I'm 48, be 49 this year. Of course, I've had my fair share of people say things to me that they shouldn't say to me, or being called the N-word or whatever. And the way I respond to that, or any microaggression, I pay the price for it every day. And I think people just aren't willing to pay the price like we were in the 50s and 60s. There is a price to pay to put your foot down and say, I won't tolerate this shit. I've had to leave jobs. I'm at an age now where I have no fucks to give about anything. And I'll leave. I'll sit at home and be broke like I am now because I left my last job. I'll sit home and be broke. I don't care. But you're getting ready to get it from me. Yeah, you got to make. There are sacrifices that are going to be made for the sake of you not being dehumanized, and you have to be willing to do that. And if you're not, then you're still feeding white supremacy. Now, I understand people have to feed their families, though. I know you got to work. You've got little kids. My kids are grown. They don't live at home. I have my own place. I can do whatever I want to do. The flip side is I don't have the support of like my mother, my brother and sister think I'm just doing the most. So I'm kind of in this by myself, and I've raised my children not to tolerate bullshit from people too. But in terms of that community that you have, I don't have that here. The organizations that are here, aside from the infighting that goes on, I don't have time for that shit. You can fight with yourself. I got things to do.
It's a love-hate with me out here because I'm super militant. Like, I'm ready to fight all the time. You could ask Nolan. I don't give a fuck. but there's other activists out here that, they feel they need to work alongside of the city or the police to get information and stuff, which sometimes I understand. You do need to have information if you know where you need to be and what's happening. So they distance themselves from me, some of them, and I go along. I pretend not to know them. But it's like when the shit jumps off, though, everybody's like, oh, then they want me around. And we said it here before. It's like you can't be scared forever. Some people might even have to die, and some people definitely are going to have to die. There's going to be bloody shit happening, and it's just the way it is. That's what revolution is. That's what change is. I don't think if all the people just sit here and say we're going to go on a hunger strike, they're going to do anything for us, Mm-hmm. We live in a violent culture run by a violent government with violent soldiers, whether they police or whatever. They're not going to listen to anything other than violence. Non-violence is not going to shut them down and not going to make them do what we want.
There is a guy, I wish I knew his name. It goes straight to what you just said. They were at some type of council meeting, a white guy, bald, beard. I have the video. I have to send it to you. Where the police arrested. I think it was on the West Coast, where they arrested 84 people who were peacefully protesting. The police showed up, violent, arrested all of them, and the man was speaking to the council members, cussed them all out. I loved it, and said, you radicalized 84 people on a bridge for no reason. We showed up peaceful, and this is what you did. So all of you with all your education sitting up there, tell me why the next time they should show up peaceful again. Peace isn't working. You're not listening. And even during the civil rights movement, and with the peaceful sit-ins and the responses that Black people got, there was still violence in that. We defended ourselves. We had guns. So what you just said just hit home for me. You cannot expect for violent people to listen to you.
Yeah.
Listen to you for what?
Exactly. You're not speaking their language.
Exactly. Anything that Black and brown people have gotten, we've had to take. And that's just a fact. We had to force it because it wasn't given willingly.
No,
and I think that message is lost somehow with the generation after the civil rights ended, like my generation. Mm-hmm. I'm going to just call it like this, my generation. I was part of that first group of people that went to desegregated schools here and around the country. And we grew up, either our parents tried to integrate and assimilate us into this new world, if you will, or our parents were woke and taught us differently. Well, I came from the former. My mother's all about conforming and keep your nose clean, put your head down, get a job, keep a job. And my mother hates it. I'm like, fuck that. You might have felt like you had to do what you had to do for us. I don't feel that way. And we need people to get that kind of attitude and mentality. You don't have to tolerate it.
Definitely. I mean, I don't know. You probably don't listen to our shows a lot, but yeah, at least me, I'm all for having these street patrols come back where we watching these pigs with our guns and cameras now. Like you in our neighborhood, you better tread lightly and be careful because you might not leave. I'm all for that, but then you need people behind you with this. You can't be 4 or 5 cats out here because you're gonna get wiped out. And you probably know, but we talked about it on the show before as well. In California here, the gun laws, all these conservatives talking about, oh, you guys have crap gun laws because of the liberals and blah, blah, blah. They don't seem to realize that their precious NRA and their precious Ronald Reagan are the reason that we have these gun laws, because they were scared of black cats walking to the Capitol building with guns because no one wanted to listen to what they had to say without the guns. You put a gun in their hand, and like they said, I think, was it Bobby Seale or Huey, one of them said, without this gun, I'm a black man, no one care what I have to say. I put this gun in my hand, everyone want to know what the hell I have to say. Mm-hmm. I paraphrase that, but yeah. And then immediately, all our gun laws change because they don't want guns. They don't want assault rifles. They don't want weapons in the hands of black people. That's scary, right?
Right.
But the white guy at a grocery store in the Midwest, strapped up with guns all up and down his side and assault rifles on his back and hunting knives, that's not scary at all. I don't think I would even be able to go in the store with that happening unless I was heated.
No, they would kill you like they did John Crawford.
Well, I'm saying these white dudes go in there with like, yeah. Mm-hmm. But these white dudes go in, they got assault rifles on their back. They're going to I've seen pictures and videos. Just going to like a McDonald's, assault rifle and 2 guns on their sides and knives down. I'm like, what the hell? You going to war? You're going to get a burger. What the fuck do you need all this shit for? You ain't even in the hood.
Intimidation.
You ain't even in enemy hood. You in your neighborhood. What the fuck?
That's what it's for. That's what it's for. They can be in their own neighborhoods. They know that black people are in their neighborhood. Whether they live there or not, they're going to go through a drive-thru at McDonald's because they work in that neighborhood. So it's a signal to other white people that I'm one of you. I think the way that you think. And it's a signal to black people for fear and intimidation, black and brown people. Fear and intimidation.
It can't be anything else. Exactly. I don't know. I never thought about it like that. I always thought it was just like the gun appreciate. Like, look at all my cool guns. Like,
they have gun clubs for shit like that.
I could put a pistol in my pocket. They have whole
societies for gun enthusiasts. That's not what they're doing.
Yeah, I can have a pistol in my pocket. I feel safe. I don't need all that shit exposed where everybody know it. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. That's overkill. And it looks so ridiculous, you know?
It does.
Yeah. But I mean, these Ronald Reagan and the NRA, I've said it on this show a million times. You can look it up. Not you, but if the people here listening don't believe me, look that shit up. If any of these Nazis or racist scum are listening to troll us, look that shit up. The NRA is the one that banned gun laws and made the crappiest gun laws in the nation in California. And Ronald Reagan lied to help him do it, saying he felt threatened because he was governor before he was president. He was governor of California, for anyone else who doesn't know that. He was a piece of shit governor. He's a piece of shit president. I'm glad he's dead. Should have happened sooner.
I'll drink to that. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, I said, I'll drink to that. Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, he put out statements in support of those Minutemen.
Yeah, Arnold was really wacky, right-wing, whack job. And plus, doesn't he come from a Nazi family?
You know, I don't know much about his family. I don't delve into the history of people like him. I just know he's the enemy. I never researched.
He was our governor out here, so I think we learned a little bit about him. Yeah, he's just a bad person. He's just another real right wing kind of whack job dude. He didn't do anything good for us. And you know, you can enact all these. At least back in the day. Now it's different because you can do anything. You know, if you're a politician. But back in the day, you could hurt people. You could bomb countries. You can do the most horrendous stuff as long as you didn't get caught with some kind of sexual thing. That's all they cared about back then. And now I don't think they could care about that. Just do whatever you want. Destroy the world. To me, it was the other way around. Like, who cares who they're fucking? Let's you know, these cats are destroying everything good. Starting wars, murdering people around the world for profit. You don't care about that. You worried about, you know, it's so backwards. It's so backwards. This whole society needs to get, we call it the 4Ds. We say decolonize, disrupt, dismantle, destroy. That's what we have to do. Because everybody say resist. Resisting's bullshit. You got to destroy it. You got to fight it.
Yeah, there is no reform.
No, it can't. You can't.
You can't reform.
I'm glad we agree. I told Nolan I thought I was going to scare you. I thought I was too militant, maybe. So it works out good.
No, let me tell you, when I first came to social media, like Twitter, I was like, these bitches is crazy. And I don't mean anarchists and leftists or anything, just the nature of Twitter in general. And after about a year, spent listening, observing, seeing how people do, I finally was like, man, fuck everybody. I don't care. There's nothing anyone can do that's going to run me out of my online space. And you ought to, wait till one of the trolls come by and you get to sit back and watch me laugh at them. It's always quite entertaining. But no, there's not a whole lot that scares me but spiders. Now, if you want to watch me turn into a little bitch, hold a spider up to my face. But other than that, no.
I'm not fond of spiders either.
That's about it here. But no, you follow me on social media now, so you'll get first bird's eye view of how I think. And I'm all for abolishing ICE, abolish the police, get rid of prisons. The problem that I have is people aren't coming up with what they're going to do when prisons are abolished, prisons as we know it. I haven't seen a lot of that, but it's a conversation for another show.
I don't know how it is where you live, but I know here it's just like the homelessness situation. There's people with nothing. There's people living on the streets, by the thousands. And these people are all like, oh, socialism's so bad, capitalism's so great. All I see is capitalism putting people in poverty daily, making people in poverty because they can't afford to pay health care, because they can't get things they need, The police come and steal people's tents that are their homes and throw them in the trash, and how are they supposed to survive? That's what I see. So I think it's the whole system from how you teach the kids growing up to this whole money thing. It's this whole system you're right, it has to be devastated, destroyed, dismantled, whatever, and built up as something different, not even rebuilt. I think it has to be something totally different, and the people have to, get together on it and come up with what they think is a viable solution for everybody to be able to rule their own lives and live, happy, and make sure everybody has what they need. It's pretty fucking simple, philosophy wise. You got some people hoarding billions of dollars and some people have nothing. Why don't the people hoarding the money give the other people the money? If you want this system, make it work where everyone's happy. It's just
that's not what they want.
It's what
they want. That's not what they want. They want rich white people happy.
Yeah, I'm talking about what we the people want, not who gives a fuck what they want.
No, I get you. I hear what you're saying. I'm saying that the system that we have now, they don't give a fuck.
And these people have like Stockholm syndrome. They just go along with it and they support it too, because they don't know any better and they're scared to not do so. Some of them. And I think it's designed like that, so people are too afraid to fight back. That's why I can't get a couple thousand motherfuckers out here with me to tear shit up.
People are afraid of the unknown. And so individualistic. Our whole society is designed that way. Let me get mine. I don't care about you. Do you? And the lack of care for other people. It's always about the self. And until we get back to community, I don't see any large change happening, unless something happens externally that devastates this country. And I don't mean a city. I mean something that really devastates the majority of this country, that shakes people awake. I don't know how that's going to happen. It's because we're so big. If we were the size of, let me think of a country, Belize.
Yeah.
It would be, in terms of rising up, if you will, a completely different, geographically easier to do is what I'm trying to say. But we're so big, we're so far out, and we're so not connected with one another. How do you effect that kind of change on that level when we're not a community? We're not even a unified nation.
Yeah. I see it as like a kind of state to state kind of thing, or city to city even. Like, if you got people willing to fight somewhere, do what you can. Hopefully it'll spread, I noticed that in the past, certain things, when they start happening, they spread, but then they die down and fizzle out. People want it seems to me like the people who want to stay in the streets and fight are the people who want a peaceful protest. They want to sing and camp and do their hippie stuff or whatever. The people who want to fight can't get nobody else to fight with them. They have small groups, so they're going to lose, They need these other people to wake up.
That's true.
like there's future people, like bees and ants and different animals. They they know they're a species, and their whole goal is making their species go further, right? Next generation, and there's future people going to be on this planet, and those are our species. And to ensure that they're going to be free and happy, sometimes you got to give up something in this generation. And if the last generations had done more, then we wouldn't be in this situation now. And it
True.
is that individualism and selfishness and stuff. But sometimes you got to say, fuck it, I think. They can't kill us all. Let's just do this shit. And when people are down like that,
True.
that's when
Hmm.
we have some kind of chance.
Right. And that's kind of what I was going to with the something major is going to have to happen externally, I think, to trigger that level of a response. Because,
Yeah.
right, it's something, I think there has to be a triggering event. It shouldn't have to be. People can choose to come together and say, I'm not tolerating this shit anymore. And whatever we have to do, we're going to do it. But everyone's not like that. But people will rally around an event that unifies them in a common goal and cause. The problem with that and with allies is, and I don't like the word allies, that's another conversation. Your allies may come together to help you, but in the end, they end up benefiting more than the group you're trying to uplift. And it still
Wait, I didn't
seems to
understand.
keep.
Can you say that one more
Oh,
time?
okay.
I didn't get it.
Uh-huh. Oh, I said, like when it comes to allies,
Yeah.
a word I don't like. Allies are, people who come together for a mutual benefit.
Yeah.
The problem in the relationship is the ally, the person coming to help the person with the problem or the oppression, whatever the problem is, they always end up benefiting more than the person they call themselves coming to help. So,
Oh
like
no.
with affirmative action, benefited who most? White women.
Oh yeah, I
So,
see.
okay, so I'm saying that in an ally oppressed person relationship, allies still tend to benefit the most from it. Although both groups or all groups may benefit, the dominant group is still benefiting the most. So in terms of coming together and saying, fuck this, I'm not taking it anymore, and you've got people supporting and backing you, that's something that has to be at the forefront of everyone's mind, because we may end up abolishing this and doing that, and the oppressor still come out winning on the other side of that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I was
That's
thinking
something to be.
allies like oh, I need the homies to come and back me up or something like. I was thinking. Yeah, you're talking on like the other. I guess it's the I can't think what I was even thinking, but yeah, I know what you're saying. It's a different definition of ally than what I was thinking of.
Okay. Well, and that's what allies do. I mean, in the traditional sense of the word, and in the
Yeah,
street sense of ally, that can be completely different. I mean, in the traditional sense of the word.
yeah,
Now, in terms of the street use of the word, your ally, your buddy, people having your back, um, jealousy comes into play. People would turn on you. Infiltrators,
yeah,
um, informants. So there's a when you're dealing with large groups of people planning something, that's always a concern.
Oh yeah, you're
Um,
always being watched. You're always being
right.
monitored. You always got snitches within everything. I see what you see. Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, so it's been difficult for me in trying to find people to partner with and do good work with, because, well, who are you? I don't know you. I'm online. You can
yeah.
see all the work I've been doing. Who are you? I've actually been approached with that. Um, I don't have time for that kind of stuff. And we have too much of that stuff inside every movement.
That's some ego shit
Um,
too.
it is. It drives me crazy. So a lot of the things I do, I do by myself. If people see me talking about what I'm doing on Twitter, and not everything do I put on social media, you either can help me by doing this and you'll offer, great, fine. But I'm still doing it by myself. Um, so, that Council of Conservative Citizens tried to have their national conference here in Nashville about 4 years ago. Got them kicked out of their hotel without leaving my living room. My living room. I was on Twitter. I was having journalists come up from Atlanta, Memphis, and I found out where they were going to be. I think the Southern Poverty Law Center published something about where they were going to be staying. So I called out to the hotel. What's this I hear about you having white supremacists holding conferences at your hotel? Out in Opryland, bitch, do you know how many people I will get down there? And I hung up in her face and started sending some faxes to the headquarters to the hotel and told them we coming. And eventually they kicked them out. Red Line Hotels sent me a tweet telling me that they booted them. But I don't play. But I can do that by myself without fucking around with other people.
Yeah.
Trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Fuck shit up and get in the way. That's what I'm trying to say. No, don't fuck this up and get in the way. You either get on the phone and make some phone calls and send some emails and post all over these social media pages. Make a damn sign and come out here and be ready to stand in front of that hotel because we're not letting the motherfuckers come and spend the night here. That's all you got to do. But I don't need to strategize with you. You already know what to do. If you're not willing to come out here and block the fucking door and keep them from walking in, fuck home. But we were lucky enough that the hotel did the right thing and shut that conference down. But that's been my struggle in the movement. It's finding good people to partner with to get things done. So much easier to just do shit myself.
Yeah, I noticed that in these streets of these protests, the pigs always come around asking, like, who's in charge? Who's in charge? Are you in charge? I'm like, ain't nobody in charge. But then, depending on the groups, there's always somebody's like, oh, I'm in charge over here. I have a permit or something. The fuck you need a permit for? I just don't even get it. Like, I don't give them any information, and somebody always want to go talk to them and work with them. And, like, how's that even a protest if the police is cool with it? Like, we're going to let you stay here and here. We're going to make sure you go this way and this way and this way. And fuck you. These people go for it every time. I've had this group called Refuse Fascism. I was bitching about this a year ago when it happened. I was pissed off. Their name is Refuse Fascism. There's 20 Nazis in the street. They're supposed to march one way. We all like, let's just go through the Nazis. Then the police come and ask them kindly if they can go the other way so the Nazis can have their protest too, and they agreed. So 2,000 people turn around and go the other way so 20 Nazis can be okay. And there's still like a couple of us out there like, nah, fuck that. The police come with horses, push everyone out the way, and let the Nazis do a whole march that wasn't even planned. Because these people wouldn't stand their ground. They want to go the other way because the police said so, because they don't want to lose their permits or whatever. It's such a joke out here sometimes. It's I don't even know if you can call it protesting. It's, what do they call it? They call it a march or a parade or something, right?
I don't know what the fuck they call it. They look stupid as fuck what they do. Now, I do one woman protest. I'll go sit outside the courthouse with my sign. Nobody has to say a word to me.
I've done that before too.
Some people do. I do that. I've had the cops called on me before by Fantastic Sam's, those hair salon shops. Have you heard of them? Do they have them out where you are?
I remember seeing a commercial years ago. I don't know if they actually have one or not. Yeah.
Okay. So they're like Supercuts. And I walked in one with my daughter, and they had two different price lists out. One said ethnic hair price list. And the one on the wall was everybody else. And they were charging, quote unquote, ethnic people more money for the same service.
Oh, and I was ethnic. What does that mean?
Okay, look, dude, and my daughter was 11 at the time. So I had to explain to her why she couldn't get her hair done that day because, bitch, I'm not the one. And there was a Kmart next door to the plaza where the Supercuts was. I mean, the Fantastic Sam. So I went in there, bought a poster board and wrote on it. And I drove my daughter, parked the car, got out, and she sat there and watched me. I had TVs built into my headboards back then, thank the Lord. She watched me sit there all night long with that sign. But I did. And the next day, I came back and parked my car outside the door and clipped that poster board under my windshield. And they called the police on me because I sat there. I sat in my car and just all day until the cops showed up. I'll do some shit like that.
Yeah.
Before I have to deal with 10 different people. Well, I'm not going to do that. This is what I think and this is what I'm going to do. I don't have time for that. When I can get out there and just do it myself.
It's disheartening, though. I've had protests where I'd be like the only person there, or one or two people show up. And yeah, it's like, what the fuck's up with these people? Like, what do they really got better to do than to stand up here today for some shit that's important?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, it blows my mind. They had the Day of Rage for Sandra Bland a few years ago. I think there was 5 people showed up. I was one of the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like the police outnumbered. They had the police all lined up around this park because I thought it was going to be crowded. So did I, and it was just us. And you know, I've been to so many things to be a couple people show up here or there.
If we showed up once, just once, in the numbers that Women's March produced, they'd be scared shitless.
If you showed up with the numbers, with a militant
Like that
attitude,
Women's
not like,
Yeah,
oh,
and
we're
that
gonna
too.
have celebrities and music, and it's like a
Right.
parade. It really is. It's just ridiculous. Like that March for Gun Violence thing. People are walking around thanking cops for their service and hugging the police and shaking their hands. What the fuck? Doesn't make no sense.
Mm-mm.
Who does gun violence here in LA? The police. Why the hell would you thank them? You're marching against gun violence.
And let them fuck up. They'll use a throwdown weapon to frame your ass.
Oh yeah. That's what they've been doing for years and years and years. Now it's a little harder for them because they got cameras on them. A lot of times, if I'm around, they got cameras on them.
Mm-hmm.
They hate my ass.
And that's editable. They can go in and edit that. They can take out frames. Those can be edited.
No, not with mine. That's what I always tell the cops. Your cameras can get your cameras will malfunction. Mine won't.
Right.
And I that's why I kind of slowed down. They've been shutting me down on live streaming service for various bullshit reasons. I mean it's due to, like, YouTube now wants more people or whatever, but I don't feel safe without a video that they can't get. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could take all my cameras, I still want to have my video, so when I get out of jail or whatever, I could call somebody, and that video could be retrieved. You could delete everything, but you ain't gonna get that last video.
Right.
That's what I kind of depend on for my safety out there. So I'm about to switch services soon. I was on Twitter with this Periscope, and it started cutting my videos, like where they weren't watchable after 30 seconds, and then I can't retrieve my videos.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if I can't get my video, it's worthless. And
True.
then I went to YouTube, and it was working good. I just started YouTube like less than a month ago, and then they changed their policy where you have to have over 1,000 subscribers to be able to live stream, so that killed me over there. So now I'm looking at some paid services and stuff, but I don't feel safe without that.
So have you tried to do a drive to get you to 1,000 followers? How many do you have?
I don't even know.
Because man, I could make some dummy email addresses up and all of them follow you. I mean,
yeah.
I think we can get you to 1,000 if we really push it.
Yeah, I don't really like doing it. I like with People's Radio and all that, because YouTube is People's Radio. I like it to be people that are engaged, and I'd rather have less listeners. I know it sounds weird, but I'd rather have less listeners who are going to get out there and actually do something. Mm-hmm. Who appreciate the message and believe in the message, and a bunch of people are just going to listen and be like, "Oh, that's cool, anarchy. Let's go do whatever we're going to do." Yeah, I want writers. I don't want, I don't know.
My concern is your message being able to reach people, and if YouTube can get you the reach and get people thinking.
That's not the reach. The YouTube just keeps me safe. I could pay for a service to do that. I'm not that worried. But
and I guess go back and post the videos on YouTube later.
Sorry, what?
Looking for a place to store your videos so that they're safe, even if you have to pay for it. That's
Yeah.
great. I get that. But then you can still go back and post them to YouTube.
Oh yeah, I use
After.
a YouTube for all kinds of stuff. It's just like this show when it's over, it'll be on the YouTube.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, within a couple minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes after it's over, it'll upload to YouTube. Some people only listen on there. Some people listen on the Spreaker. Some people listen through the website. And all the people who listen know that we always do tangents. So this whole thing we're doing right here is nothing new for them. We always go off on some tangent. So you're right at home here.
We can circle back to our 3 topics of discussion.
Yeah, I know we're probably gonna wrap it up in about 10, 20 minutes. You wanna we kind of touched on the second one. We talked about, I mean, you said it perfect, like the FBI saying white supremacists are infiltrating white supremacist information isn't really news. And I like that because no one's ever said it like that before. I think I've thought of it, but I never put it together like, huh. So that was pretty ingenious. I'm looking for the last topic is about the Notre Dame Cathedral, right? I'm looking.
Man, don't get me started. You want to get me started, don't you? What the fucked up shit is that? Now,
well, here let me read the topic real quick. Okay, a few weeks ago we talked about 3 historical black churches in Louisiana that were set on fire by the Nazi son of a cop. The media seemed to gloss over this, and most people either didn't know about it or didn't seem to care. Last week, the Notre Dame Cathedral was burned down by accidental fire, and it's been constant mainstream news. A group of billionaires came together to raise $700 billion in one day to rebuild it. Now get started.
I get it. The building's old. It has historical value. It's architecture. In terms of religion, churches are everywhere. Church is a building. The people in the church matter. People in religious houses, that matters. The structure itself is unimportant to me personally. I don't give a fuck. What pisses me off about all of this is you have people chomping at the bit to drop $100 million, $200 million a person, wouldn't be caught dead trying to eradicate poverty with that money. They didn't give a good damn about the black churches that burned down. They didn't jump to offer money to rebuild those structures. So I believe that race comes into play in this. Of all the religious houses that get destroyed every year across many different faiths, you didn't do shit for them. Yeah, I have a problem with that. I have a problem that the crime of the arsons of the 3 black churches across 10 days was not initially investigated as a hate crime from the jump. They were looking into it. This blaming black metal music on this young man, this Nazi, the son of a sheriff's deputy, indulging in black metal music and it radicalizing him or whatever the fuck they claim. In and of itself, I mean, there's not Nazi branches in that genre of music. But they're not paying attention to the fact that of all the fucking churches around, why those 3? How many other churches did he pass to get to those 3? How did he pick out those 3? And how did they just happen to all be black churches? And then you have to think about whether or not it was a hate crime.
Yeah, a few weeks ago we speculated. We didn't have all the information. It just happened Then he
Mm-hmm.
got arrested, and they found out he was the son of the cop. And we speculated that his dad didn't turn him in because he was a good cop and out of the goodness of his heart. It's because they were going to catch him anyway, and he wanted to make it easier for him or something, right? And
Mm-hmm.
sure enough, he left a trail of evidence from the churches he burned all the way to the stores where he was buying stuff with his credit card and everything else. So that's exactly what happened. His cop isn't this isn't some upstanding cop who saw his son doing wrong and turned him in. It was like, oh shit, you got caught. We got to do something. You know what I mean? Let's do what's
Mm-hmm.
best for you.
I agree.
And it's just common sense now. We see this so many times with so many. The only upside of this is nobody died. He didn't burn the churches down with little girls inside or something, or people, where they couldn't get out. He did it when no one was in them, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's still bad, but I'm saying we have
Yeah.
Dylan Ruth walks in a church and kills 9 people. We have so many things like that going on. It's sad to say that, like, oh, at least nobody died. But back to the cathedral thing. These people. I mean, I know. Isn't Salma Hayek and her husband, aren't they American people? I don't know. I mean, I always thought she was an American actress.
She's, I believe she's Mexican American. She speaks Spanish and English. She married someone who's French, and like their daughter's trilingual. They have a child together. But that's
Is he?
Her husband's one of the major donors.
He's French or American French?
French.
Like he's from. Oh, okay.
Right. In fact, I'm gonna look while we're talking. Keep going.
I'm sorry. What?
Said I'm gonna look that up.
Oh, you just got really weird. I'm kind of losing you right now. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Oh,
Can
there
you
you
hear
are.
me?
Oh, yeah. Sounded like you were in like a tunnel or something. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, this stuff happened here, and why not a fraction of that? And she said, "Oh, these churches got burned down." Or how about Puerto Rico? Let's send some money to help these people or something. I mean, where? It just seems odd that these people are going to jump on something like this that doesn't really matter. It's just a bunch of colonizer shit all put up into a big cathedral. And the Catholic Church is one of the richest organizations, if not the richest organization in the world. Why they need these people to pay for this?
Exactly.
Think of where these billions of dollars could be spent elsewhere. That would do so much good for so many people. But now we're going to build a big building for some religious white shit. I mean, I don't know. Like, it just seems so messed up. Like, where's the thought process in that? Like, no one got hurt in that fire either, right?
No one died in it, no. And they can't even rebuild the church the way that it was.
Why not? With all those billions?
Because of the trees. Did you see the reports about the trees? That there are no more trees in France that can build it, that are tall enough to rebuild it.
Oh, I see. I didn't really care enough about the rebuilding process. I did see some woman on Twitter said the church is burned down, but this gold cross is still there. So if you can't deny God exists anymore. And I'm thinking they got this giant gold cross. Sell it and feed some people.
Man, the Catholic Church got money.
Oh,
they've looted the whole world. Please. So I find that very interesting that people who are hoarding wealth, like the Catholic Church, feel like they need to come in and save this building. And I looked it up. Francois is Salma Hayek's husband's name. Francois Pinot, and he is French.
Okay. That sounds funny, I know, but I didn't know if he was like a United States citizen or not. That's what I was wondering.
No. Oh, I'm sorry. My cat just came over here and scratched me. Excuse me. My daughter's cat. But yeah, can you imagine? I can't even imagine $700 million, but that can eradicate
You there still?
Can't even
Oh,
wrap my brain
there we go.
around everything it can do.
Yeah, you're dying in and out right now.
Oh, am I?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It said low signal. Looked like I was gonna cut it off.
Oh,
So the people listening, we're having our standard technical difficulties. You there, Tracy?
oh no. Did I lose you?
No, you're there. I hear you now.
Okay.
Okay, you're dying out, but yeah, we're probably gonna wrap it right, anyway, because we went over everything. Go like if there's anything else you want to say to kind of summarize or anything, you feel free to do that.
Well, I don't even know how do you summarize the world
Fuck
is
your white
fucked up.
supremacy and racism.
White supremacists. It was fucked up because of capitalism. The world is fucked up and doesn't care that people are dying unnecessarily, that there are genocides happening in the world today that no one is doing anything about because they want to open markets in Burma. But we have money and a hell of a lot of it for a fucking building. That's my summary.
Yeah, we have a lot of it for everything terrible, for a militarized police, for wars, for a fucking building, for all that stuff. And we need to maybe spend it on the people. Get mental health care for people, homes for people, medical care for people, college for people, education for people, better lives for people, all people.
Now, they can't have black and brown people be happy.
Yeah, but it needs to happen.
It does need to happen.
Like
But they
like
just can't even wrap their brain around people having anything that they've got.
yeah, I don't understand where this comes from. It's like, why can't everybody be equal? Why can't everybody be happy? Why can't everybody have the same shit? Why can't we all be united? It makes no sense to me. It's just imagine if animals fought over just the color of their fur or something. They fight for territorial reasons or food or something like that. But imagine if they just fought over the color of their fur. How stupid would that be? And we're a bunch of fucking animals that can't even figure that shit out.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the dumb species on this planet?
Exactly. I like the way you put that shit too.
It's just way out to me. I don't get it. Like, I'll never comprehend. I talk about this shit all the time. I hate this shit, but I can't comprehend like what makes somebody believe like that. I just can't figure it out. Like, it seems like so simple. Like, just snap out of it. Don't be a racist piece of shit. Don't support fascism. But it doesn't work like that. Somehow in their minds it makes total sense.
They use their religion to justify
it. Yeah. I guess that's what I gather. So yeah, anything else you want to say before we wrap it up? Because we pretty much got through everything.
I appreciate you having me on.
I appreciate you coming on, and this is People's Radio. You're a people, so you're always welcome on. I tell people this all the time. If you have something you want to bring up on your own separate show, contact us and do a show. If you want to be on one of our shows, on the Friday shows, contact us, jump on. We love to have different voices and different people and different thoughts, and that's what it's about. I can't solve the world's problems with just me, Nolan, and Glenn. we try hard, but yeah, we need everybody. We need all the people, all the warriors, and you're a warrior. So yeah, thank you so much, Tracy, and for everyone listening. Follow Tracy; she's awesome. It's at Tracy for Humanity. That's the number 4, not FOR. So Tracy for Humanity. It's a really good account. Give her a follow. And yeah, I hope you come on again. It was really awesome having you on today.
Thank you. I'll be back.
Somebody close to my militant level is always good. So yeah, thank you, and thanks to the listeners, and we'll see you next week. And just to the people listening, it's a possibility before the next week's show we'll have the Music to Riot 2 released. So stay tuned for that. Thanks again, Tracy, and we'll see everybody next week.